one thing too is the savings for the police department this year alone, just with me at the lower end of this pay scale, the two guys at the bottom of the patrolman, that's going to be next year. That's going to be that savings next year also, a little less. The next year, a little less. So you're not only going to save it this year, it's also going to be in the years in the future too.
Right, fully staffed, it's a saving of about $30,000 for next year. For this year, it's going to be a third of that, another 10.
It's a budget saving either way going forward. Let's not make it harder on our new chief.
And I'm not trying. I'm not really trying to make it harder on anybody.
So
Just an internal wrestling.
I think this just makes the job more difficult. And I don't even like having this conversation here. That we should be just saying, of course.
Well, with all due respect, it's a big, even continuing, it's a big matter for the city to consider and deliberate over. But I think we've shown, if you're satisfied with the service level and think that ought to continue, I think we've shown that fiscally there's a responsible way of doing that. There's other ways that we can try to drive revenues, and we're working on that. With respect to outsourcing or to contracting. So we're trying to be prudent about how we go forward. We understand the fiscal realities of it.
we've rolled our 2013 budgeted expense back to a 2009 level.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Anyone else? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? And the motion passes. Mr. Bunky, Mr. Hansi, and Mr. Holm in favor, Mr. Goldenson, Mr. Dahl opposed. Officer Brick, welcome to full-time status. Congratulations to you. Anything else to add on this, Adam?
Just gonna try to get some part-time people, get the backgrounds and stuff like that done, and hopefully bring some good people to Rushford and keep us protected. So,
Thank you very much, Chief.
thank
Appreciate
you
it.
very much.
Let's move on to 8C, consideration of accepting a plan to provide sewer and water service to the John Dahman property, which also could provide service to empty lots owned by Michael Dahman, and could provide future services to properties located in the north, currently in the city of Rushford Village. See attached engineer's drawings, estimated costs, and staff reports. Go ahead.
Your Honor, apologize, this thing has taken so long to figure out. It seems like every time you lift up a rock, there's another thing to consider. Appreciate Mr. Dahman's patience as well as we go forward. What I've done is worked out with the MPCA that if certain things are met, certain timelines are met, they're willing to wait on taking further action and kind of sitting by and letting the city do what is probably right and prudent for the area. It would be fairly easy, although expensive, to just bring a line down to serve John and just say, here it is, hook into it, here's your cost. And that would involve a grinder pump, and I think that's one way that we could go. The other way is to take a more global approach and take a look at the other opportunities that are presented in that area, both in the city for future development, but also for potential failing systems that are outside of the city. One could argue that that's really doesn't have anything to do with us. That could be a village problem, but because we have residents that live sort of downhill from them, I would argue that we probably want to try to make a more global fix to this issue. What the global fix would entail is a larger pipe, both sewer and water.
Yuck.
Is it gone?
No, it's back here.
Was it in the back of my head?
Dave, help her out, will you?
Full stop.
Burge is making them angry.
Yeah,
No,
Did you get it?
yeah, she's much gladder now,
Oh,
Your hero.
okay?
thank you.
I wondered what you were,
Well, something was going buzz, and I thought it was just a
I thought you were trying to get Chris's attention.
Oh,
Well, she got my attention.
oh.
share them.
Okay,
Like,
where were we?
In order to establish a more global solution, we need to extend an 8-inch sewer line and a 6-inch water main. The water main also, in the future, would extend further north and could hook into the Himley property and provide a circling of the pipes and looping of that system, which would help with water quality and water pressure issues. It's not the final solution for the needs up there, but it would be an assistance to it. So basically, what's outlined and what I want council to understand are the steps that would be involved. And part of this is sort of a negotiation with not only Mr. Dahman, but also with MPCA to try to hold them off a bit. So the steps would need to be, we would need, Mr. Dahman and the city would need to come to an agreement probably by the end of October, by the second meeting in October for the city council. That agreement would entail where the lines were going to go and then what the cost would be. We would also then, at that point, we would order plans and specs. Although they've been sketched out here by the engineer, we'd want to get those things formalized in December. Because these pipes would be oversized, there's a city cost, but also because they're oversized and they pass through areas that could be developed and areas of future development, we would want to hold a hearing on assessments. And again, this is just one of the options that we have available to us. If we don't hold that hearing, then those properties to the north, if we bring them in, they would not be paying their fair share on extending these services. So I would argue that we would want to proceed with assessment hearings, even though that they would be deferred. We would bid the project in January and February. We would award it sometime in February. Do the project first thing, March, April, or May, and be completed by June 1st. That would meet MPCA's requirements. He would also meet the city's requirements and would give Mr. Dahman an opportunity to figure out how he could proceed as well. So it buys him a little bit more time. In other words, what I'm saying is, and suggesting is, we've got a more global solution out of all of this. It's just going to take a little bit more time, and because the winter's closing in on us at some point, there's no point in hurrying this thing forward. There are certain deadlines that we need to meet based upon the outline that I just gave you, and we need to move forward on those. If, for instance, we can't reach an agreement in October with Mr. Dahman, then I would suggest that the city move in a different direction, bring the smaller line down, and just do it in the more cost-effective way. My concern with doing that, though, is eventually, if those properties to the north fail, you're going to have to bring another line up there, and it just doesn't seem to make much sense from a planning standpoint to not do that now, and to, in essence, double the lines in the future. So all we're asking right now is for council to understand this process of trying to be done by June 1st, allow staff and our attorney to work with Mr. Dahman on an agreement, get that in front of the MPCA so that they're on board as well, and move forward so that we can have this project done early next summer.